Okay, yeah, Sam, would you like it, please?
Given the profound insight that the Buddha had into the nature of reality, perhaps worth asking whether the Buddha is a man or a god. The early Buddhist scriptures are tautological and that they merely state that the Buddha is a Buddha. However, in his previous existences, the being that was to become the Buddha undoubtedly dwelt in the human and divine realms, as many of the Jataka tales attest. And Buddhist cosmology, both humans and devas are irrevocably rooted in cyclical existence, samsara. And the important point is that in becoming Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama transcended the categories of both human and the divine. You want me to keep going?
Oh, let's okay, some more.
Oh, this is saying, people are wondering if the Buddha is a god or a man, and in Buddhist belief, he's been both, but to be a Buddha is to be something beyond either.
Yeah, relate to our discussion about the visualization. So someone can visualize themselves as Buddha, someone can visualize themselves as the Bodhisattva to transform themselves. Like someone look up to some celebrities, so they want to be like that kind of celebrity. That the idea there. So how was the mandala?
Oh, it's amazing.
They did the compassionate one, right?
Yeah, they started on Monday and they just finished today.
Oh,
So 5 days,
right.
And then they're having a celebration tomorrow.
10 to 6. Yeah, dissolution celebration.
Okay, destroying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay. You know why, right?
a non-attachment.
Yeah. But we keep here. We ask them to keep here. Let's be in detail. Yeah, An, how you been, An?
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me, An?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Although a Buddha is outside the categories of the human and the divine, he traditionally, a Buddha or male, does paradoxically possess 3 bodies. These bodies are known technically as Dharmika, truth body, Nirmanika, imagination body, and Sambhogata, enjoyment body. The Trika doctrine, in its sophisticated interpretation, became particularly important in the development of the complex theories of the Mahayana.
You can stop there. Have we talked about this 3 body before? We talked about this one.
I mean, I've talked about it. I don't know if it was here.
Remember?
I've heard about it and read about it, but I don't remember us talking about it
It's
here.
very complicated.
Symbol.
Simple. And after there's 4. Now I hear some traditions have 4, not just 3, but 4.
3.
3.
4 is probably different in the Tantra tradition, probably different, but in general, 3.
I was just reading, it said 4. I was like, oh no, another one.
3.
The Tibetans have a lot more extensive practices and different bodies.
The Dharmakaya is the one that I've heard about the most. I don't know as much about
The 2 body doesn't mean that the physical body.
Yeah.
The essence, the what you call the truth body of the essence. In Buddhist view, in Maha-Buddhist view, everyone has what you call the pure nature, Buddha nature.
Yeah.
That kind of purity that we have, that kind of pure awareness, we have that. And when the birds, even every sentient beings, and even the dog, the cat, even the mosquito and so forth. That's why we respect them. We don't harm them.
And that's how we're all connected, because
We're all connected.
The Dharmakaya.
Yeah, that's what we call Dhammakaya true body or the essence body or the pure essence of all us.
Do they, that's also called like goodness?
What's that?
I think it's also called original goodness.
You can say that. Or
Correct.
different names. Buddha nature, good nature, whichever.
Buddha nature, it's the same as the Buddha
Same,
nature.
the same. Because the same. Yeah, and Stephen, how you been, Stephen?
Mopakai, I am good. Thank you. How are you?
Thank you. So we talk about the three bodies of Buddha. The first one, the true body. And then you follow and that's what we call the essential body or the essential purity of the Buddha nature, whichever we name them. And then you follow?
Yeah, I follow, but I have not heard it in English interpretations. I know the Buddha nature, but I didn't know what are the other two, like in the Vietnamese. So I learned more from Vietnamese, so I don't get. Sometimes I get confused when I hear in English, and so in Vietnamese, what are the three? You know, like Tâm Phật, and but then what are the other two imply in Vietnamese? I just need a connection to help me. That's all.
So the true body, that's everyone has in Vietnamese called Pháp thân.
Okay.
And the emanation body, you know what it means?
Is that like, where like the Buddhas, like they kind of like spread enlightenment out in all directions? Or...
No, he can manifest any body.
Yeah.
He has type of skill to manifest any body that can help sentient beings. Let's say if you are rich, if you're billionaires, you can go anywhere to help people. That's in a similar way.
So is that for a lifetime? How's that work? I mean, they just there for a moment and then.
Depend upon the needs of like your daughter. She needs you. That's why you're there with her. Yeah. So instead of one, so Buddha can manifest himself in any form of life. That's why one of the chapter, the universal chapter, you heard about that, right? So the one she manifest 32 bodies to help sentient beings. And again, like the billionaires, like the wealthy people, they can go any place to help any people, like Bill Gates, whoever. Right.
But it doesn't have to be for a lifetime. So
They don't have lifetime, depend upon the need.
So it could just be a stranger walking down the street and then they're gone.
That's
they're
right.
Gone for good.
Yeah, they want
depend upon the needs.
In the universal door section that he was talking about, it says that she can become male or female, rich or poor, old or young, or even like disabled, or even as like an animal or whatever.
They can say sometimes they can say miracle, right? Sometimes let's say you get lost somewhere else and someone just appear on the spot and say and show you the way. That's his manifestation or Bodhisattva manifestation. Yeah. So of course it's go beyond human thinking, and of course we could not realize that until we encounter that kind of situation.
Does that also have to do with creating the Pure Lands?
Kind of. That's different story. Some Buddha, like Amitabha Buddha, they made the vows to do that as Pure Land so that people can be born over there.
But does he do that with the?
Yeah, they can, but everyone has, every Buddha has different ways of teaching. Like every professor, teacher, or every mom has a way of teaching their children. It's quite different. But the important is to help sentient beings, not to help others. Yeah. So the second one is emanation body. That's mean hóa thân anh ha. Em đánh hóa thân, biến hóa đó anh ha.
Yeah, thầy. Yeah.
And Stephen, you follow on Stephen?
Briefly, yes.
Okay, so that's what they call emanation. Right? Any Buddha can have that type of abilities. And for you, like actor, right? You may act in different characters, right? So that depend upon the scene, depend upon the show.
The need of the audience.
Yeah, and the need of the audience. You want to express yourself in different personality, right? Or characters in the same way. All right, the last one is enjoyment body. You heard about this, Miss Grayson? What's mean enjoyment body? Yeah, what's mean, you know?
The enjoyment body, I think it's, isn't that the way that it's shared?
Kind of. Yeah.
Their teaching is enjoyed or shared or passed on.
Kind of. So enjoyment body, that's been in the past, every Buddha makes different type of vows, did all kind of different practices. And so let's say, for example, the second Buddha, he made the vows to teach here in the samsara, in the what to call the word, on the earth you can say that. But Amitabha Buddha, he make vows to create the Pure Land over there. So that's a different, what to call the enjoying Buddha body.
That they make about offer their teaching somehow.
So depend upon where they made the vows,
Right.
where they did the practice and how they made the vows. For example, one more time, Amitabha Buddha, he made the vow to create that type of Pure Land. So he had that type of beautiful land. It's quite different from here. So that's what they call enjoying body.
So more of the duty, like their duty, their vow, their duty.
They vow and they get, they vow to be here with sentient beings here on earth.
If you're reborn in the Pure Land, okay, so okay, I don't know, because this is maybe I'm piecing two different things together. But in Theravada, you have to be a human to become a Buddha, or to become enlightened, or to become a Buddha.
Arhat, not Buddha. In Theravada, they don't talk about become Buddha. They talk about Arhat.
Okay. But so the only way to become enlightened, though, is through being a human.
Yes, that's what they see. That's what they view.
Okay, and so is Mahayana separate than that? But you're not a human if you're reborn in the pure.
You can, so that's different between Theravada and Mahayana. So in Theravada tradition, they focus on humanity.
Right.
So we can become arhat, become holy monks, holy nun. That means we can be free from any kind of attachment, any kind of suffering. Only human can do. And for the lay people, they can attend to the third stage of arhatship, not the four. The four that you mean you have to become Buddhist monk and nun in order to attend the last stage of arhatship, to attend nirvana. Otherwise, you can be born again and you can attend arhatship later on, but not now. In that view, but in Mahayana view is more elaboration of that. Any sentient being can be awakened one, like the dog, the cat, and so forth, because everyone has a type of pure nature. That's why we have what we call the Bodhisattva precept, the guideline how to walk on the Bodhisattva path. What makes difference? So a cat or a dog can wake you up, right? Look at them, right? The one that guide the blind, right? Oh, they're so smart. Or the K9, they're so smart. So that's why in my Buddhist tradition, regardless of the form, every sentient has the power, the potential to attain the highest state of enlightenment. That's mean Buddha. But of course, it takes times to grow up. But it includes every sentient this. In Theravada tradition, it's just focus on humanity. Only human,
Okay.
only human can do, not other. Animal cannot. Yeah. That's why in the what do you call monk precept, before taking the precept, there's some question that if you are animals, if you're manifestation of God and so forth, you're not supposed to take the monk precept.
What's the question? How did I ask it? I forget.
What's that?
What's the question they ask? Are you human?
Yeah, are you human?
They directly
Yeah,
ask, are you human?
Are you human or are you the manifestation of someone else? Yeah, I told you the story,
Yeah,
right?
that's a good
Yeah,
point.
that's a point. So only in the Theravada tradition, it's so strict. It's only human can attain that partnership or can attain nirvana.
I heard a story once where like a Naga tries to become a monk.
Yeah.
And they're like, no.
But they did one. That's why the Buddha established the rules. So one
Yeah.
Naga, one serpent appeared as a man and took the monk precept. And so at noon he slept and somehow he manifested himself as at the serpent, that's mean the big snake, and they were scared. That's why the Buddha established a rule: no way, only human, not you. But in high tradition, no, it include everyone.
Do they ask the question?
No,
No.
they include everyone. They include everyone.
Okay, here it goes.
Honestly, I've thought about this a lot before because, like, you know, I've thought like if aliens
Right.
wanted to become like
And they can
Buddhists,
manifest.
yeah,
They can manifest different forms.
yeah,
You know, our Grandmaster Xu Yun. So one day after he transmit the Buddhist precept, so he went out to the farm and somehow he saw a Buddhist precept certificate that hang on the tree. And he knew that the tree spirit took that precept. So it's acceptable in my tradition. It's acceptable because everyone has that type of pure nature, has that type of compassionate nature. So everyone can practice Buddhist precept. That's why it's acceptable, but not in the other one. So that's different.
The tree spirit manifest as a human to do that and then go back as the tree, or how's that? Yeah, really?
That's why.
Huh.
Yeah, and then Stephen, you follow?
Yes, more fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so that's why in Buddhist view, whether the dog, the cat, whoever have other people, we consider themselves as you can say that Bodhisattva. Remember, it's many levels of Bodhisattva, from the initial one to the 52 state of Bodhisattva. Anyone can, any sentient can practice or follow that path, Bodhisattva path, to help ourselves and help others. So that's why my tradition is more inclusive than the Theravada one. That's why at temple we don't consume any meat because we respect them. Yeah. Okay. So that's a symbol, right? 340 is symbol. But of course, in the Tantric tradition, they talk more. But probably they elaborate more. That's why it's more complicated.
What the rainbow body, is that the same as any of those three ones, or is that like a different thing?
The Jatim, you can say that there's their manifestation after they pass away. Yeah. So that's the doctrine that we call the Trikaya doctrine, the three body doctrine. To explain, someone asked, after the Buddha passed away, he's still here or he's gone? That's why the three body explain how even the second Buddha, historical Buddha, passed away, enter Nirvana, he's still here in different form of life with his transformation body. That's why it's this, if we have sincerity to practice his teaching, he will help us, he guide us. It's in the spirit there. Yeah. Yeah. And then, yes.
Lama Surya Das?
What's that?
I was looking, there's an American teacher.
Yeah.
He's ordained in Tibet, but he's a very captivating American Buddhist teacher, and
I've heard of him.
yeah, anyways, he teaches about that a lot, and a lot of it's actually really
Yeah.
I would recommend listening to him if you're interested in
Yeah.
more.
Okay. Yeah. And Stephen, do you have any question about this? The three bodies?
Nothing at this moment, since this is somewhat new for me, and obviously I'm just slowly digesting all the true meaning of it. So more factor.
Yeah.
And what is enjoyment body in the Vietnamese?
Báo thân
Pháp
anh.
thất, báo thần, yeah.
Báo thân. Yeah. Can you read, or you just driving there, Anh?
I'm on my phone, so but I can see it, but I'm very small.
Okay, yeah. And Stephen, can you read, please? The Trikaya doctrine.
Yeah. The Trikaya doctrine and its sophisticated interpretation became particularly important with the development of the complex theories of the Mahayana. However, all forms of Buddhism possess some conception of the bodies of the Buddha. The main distinction is being drawn to between the Buddha's physical form and his spiritual qualities. In early Buddhism, the Buddha was seen as literally embodying the qualities that constitute the Dharma, his teaching.
Okay, stop there. You can stop there.
I guess they're trying to explain the above three bodies to where I'm guessing the overall true meaning or understanding that is obviously a little bit more complex than just a general overview of what we're just discussing here. And I'm guessing that's why I'm still, like I said, I'm still learning, especially when this is my first time hearing it for the first time. So more of that.
Yeah. Yeah. So originally, right, or in early time, right, they kept focus on the Buddha physical form and the spiritual quality, but later on, the Mahayana tradition developed this kind of three body concept, so that this can explain in the way that how he's still here, even he's been attained nirvana already. Yes, and then Stephen.
So basically, since at the beginning, basically since he was alive, so obviously in his human form, but since his passing, because of Buddha achieving nirvana, and of course his teaching is so widespread, overall all human still believe in him, but more of spirituality, and still pretty much follow the teaching. So
then that's way. But in some sutra, Sam, remember Dhamma Sutra? The Buddha say that don't seek my body by the form. Don't seek my body by the sound. If you seek my body through the form, the sound, you go nowhere. You go in the wrong path. This means that you have to recognize this in the pure form, what they call the Dhamma there. So in order to seek his body, this means we need to purify our mind to get back to our pure nature. That's what it means. So don't attach, look within, don't attach to the form, don't attach to the forms. So that's why in the Zen tradition, is a lot of funny story. I think I told you some of you already. So one day, one monk, one guest monk, he stopped by a temple in China. It's so cold. You know, people in the past, they didn't have the heater So they just use the wood or the coal, right, as a sort of warming up. So at that temple in the winter is so cold. So he looked up to the altar and he saw 3 statues of Amitabha Buddha. What do you call the 3 sets of the Pure Land? This is golden, the wooden one. So he brought them down and burned. And the abbot, that's the monk in chief, and the chief monk of that temple, in the morning came up and say, "How could you burn my Buddha?" So this guest monk say, "Well, I burned the Buddha so that I can seek or find their relics." And so the chief monk say, "Well, how could you find the relic within the wooden Buddha statue?" And so this guest monk say, "If that's the case, I can burn more." You understand? Right. So basically, for those kind of enlightened monk, so they didn't attach to any kind of forms. But for us, for common people, we attach to the form to pay respect to Buddha or whichever. So for the chief monk, he really cared for the wooden Buddha, and that's why he complained. How could that guest monk burn his wooden Buddha? So that guest monk say, I burn Buddha so that can get relic, after Buddha passed away to get the relic. So the chief monk say, well, how could you get the relic from the wooden one? So the guest monk say, if that's the case, I can burn more to let him know that you need to even the thing that you really respect, you need to let go of that too. Yeah, but still for the Buddhist people, we still need to have a kind of respect, unless we have a kind of attainment. There's a lot of story like that. Yeah, another story that one Zen master, he saw his student sitting on the rock days and night. So one day, so he waited for his student probably to go somewhere else. So he wrote the word Buddha on that rock. And when the student came back, he didn't dare to sit on because the word of the Buddha. So the master said, well, what happened? So the student said, well, because of the word Buddha there, how could I sit on the Buddha word? So that's why the master say, if you want to attain enlightenment, you have to go beyond that. Go beyond the concept of the this is best, male, female, and so forth. It's not easy. Only the achieved one, the awakened one. So that's why it's delayed to the Mahayana tradition, Mahayana teaching that when you seek the Buddha, you have to seek on your own mind, not based on the form. Yeah, and Stephen, do you follow the story?
Yes, Mohawk, I do. Thank you.
It's a lot of story. There's a lot of funny story. That's why I love Zen story. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You like to read with us? Thirst, the Buddha embody.
Thus, the Buddha embodies the virtues of.
Let me skip right here. Compassion, right here.
Compassion, wisdom, nonviolence, friendliness, and generosity. However, it is not merely the physical body of the Buddha that makes him a Buddha, but the perfection of his spiritual qualities. This is made very clear in a passage from the Pali canon, in which a monk called Kali, who was incapacitated by illness, criticizes the Buddha for not visiting him sooner. The Buddha explains, what good is the sight of this putrid body to you? The one who sees the Dharma sees me. The one who sees me sees the Dharma.
You understand?
No, I'm
confused. So the Buddha, Dharma body is the embodiments of compassion, wisdom, nonviolence, friendliness, and generosity. That encompass all the qualities. That's what we call pure Buddha, pure nature, or the Buddha nature there. Makes sense? Right? Yes. Yeah, and that's why it's not merely physical of the physical body of the Buddha that make him a Buddha, but his profession of his spiritual qualities. That's what about. So he say there's a story. So one monk, he want to see the Buddha, but Buddha say, if you want to see me, you have to understand Dharma. The one who understands Dharma has been Buddha teaching, can see me. That's why before he passed away, the Buddha say that you need to base on my teaching, have to rely upon my teaching as a teacher, no one else. That's why in Buddhism there's no Pope. No Pope. You know?
Oh.
Pope.
Oh.
You understand that? Because when in any organization, as much as we have a title, as much as we have position, there's some kind of politics there. So Buddha didn't want his followers to fight for position. They just focus on spiritual development. That's all. That's why he didn't appoint anyone to become the next, the one that to him, the leader of the Sangha. So yeah, so that's why you can see. So Buddhism is so diverse. It's all kind of Buddhist denomination. There's no central authorities. You understand why, right? Why is that? Which one is better model? The democracy model or the top and bottom model? What do you think?
When the way the Buddha taught it, he said that it did need to be culturally flexible so that it could grow, and that's why he encouraged it to be taught in the native language. So it was designed to kind of be culturally flexible. So there isn't really any, I guess, rules in Buddhism that you can't add other practices or cultural flair, but it's all essentially, the path to enlightenment. Or the path to freedom, isn't that the
Yeah, I think last time we talked about the idea of something being centralized versus decentralized. One of the things that makes me think of is in organisms, if you have a centralized organism, like an animal, like a man or a cat or a fish, it's a lot easier to kill than mushrooms, which are decentralized and just spread all over. And you can't really kill a mushroom by just plucking it. It's still got, because it's decentralized, because it just spreads. And yeah, I don't know. So that's another thing I like about it.
interesting?
Yeah.
It's more accord with the nature aspect of life, right? When you centralize anything, whether it's politics or whichever way, it may come and go. It may come and go.
Like the corruption too.
Corruption,
And
that's the point.
protection of your own.
That's the
So the
point.
corruption never goes away because they don't want it to be known or seen. So they,
Yeah, when we have the title, we have this.
Yeah, it's easy to hide in certain structures are easy to have blocks.
And attached to those type of status, right? And position, you fight for that. That's what we call politics. Politics happen everywhere, right? Not only in politics, but also in the community, even at home, right? In family structure. So that's why the Buddha remind his followers that don't fight for that type of power, to focus on spirituality.
and the different types of philosophies work for different people too. So it's not one core teaching. The more you have, the more people you can, different ways you can help different people.
Yeah, you give that kind of analogy. Like Muslim, this is pretty appropriate. Yeah. And then you follow an. You know why we don't have any kind of centralized authorities or power in Buddhism now, right? And then
Yes, I can understand the nature of it, and it's immersed within the culture that you live in. That's kind of good. But in a way, with my experience, a limited experience, I would say, I wish that there would be some sort of, well, I guess we all base our learning and our spiritual life in theory, and in practice should be based on the Kinh Điển sutras that what Buddha say, not necessarily follow anything or any form or life or people or so on and so forth. But sometimes when we are as human, we are not as enlightened, so we need some kind of structure. Sometimes structure is helpful, but then the structure sometimes have differences in the teaching of Buddha. So I wish that sometime there might be some kind of form, not necessarily stat, like a title, but maybe some kind of I'm not sure it's a board or I'm just giving an example that if someone doing something wrong, something is different, something is not aligned to what the Buddha teaching, there should be some kind of repercussion or
punishment,
guidance to get people back into the line of what the true teaching of Buddha, rather than relying on, if you disagree, just do what you want to do, and no one really know what is right and wrong.
When you study, like for me, I've studied a lot of history of religion, especially, Christianity, because that's a big part of Western history. Like, so much of Western history is just Christians killing other Christians because they disagree about what's the right kind of Christianity. And I think that Buddhism doesn't have that problem because it's decentralized. Like, in the year like 1008 or something, was when the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church split, because the Catholics have a Pope who was supposed to take over, as the title of Saint Peter, who was supposed to take over for Jesus, and then like the Orthodox have the Patriarch. And then like 500 years later, Martin Luther started Protestantism, and as Islam, it's like the same kind of thing, where after Muhammad died, like the split between the Shia and the Sunni Muslims is like, who was supposed to take over after the Prophet Muhammad. And the fact that, that they think that, they've gotta really have somebody, some structure, some top guy who's like, this is what's right and what's wrong. It just leads to bloodshed in history. So I think it's better in the Buddhist way, where they're just like, if you're wrong, just go be wrong over there. Okay, that's fine, instead of fighting over it.
Yeah. So
and the main tenet of ahimsa, right? That nonviolence. So you really, that's one of the main things of you're not supposed to be engaging in violence or even harsh speech or anything that might harm them.
Yeah, so that's what they call the universal law, right? Whoever cross over that kind of red line, they have to pay their own karma. So there's no need to judge them. There's no need to condemn them. But it's so simple. It's so Buddhism is spread exists for more than 2,500 years, and this is so common. If you are Buddhist, you're not supposed to kill the cow. It's so simple. This is the what we call universal concept, universal understanding. So even we decentralize, even we don't have the kind of pope that just set up that type of system, but the underlying rules there for people to follow, underlying guidelines there for people to follow. That the basic morality is there. If someone cross over that kind of red line, we know right away. That's why what happened in Myanmar, right, Burma, right? So we will know for sure that if they persecute other people. I mean that the Buddhists, if they harm or kill others, they cross the line. In Buddhist view, they cannot be considered Buddhist, real Buddhist, because for real Buddhists, we're not supposed to harm others, no matter what happened. So that's the red line there. That is the underlying guideline there for common people, common Buddhist people to follow. And then, of course, everyone has different path to practice. Like you say, right? Because we don't have the type of centralized authority or power, there's no need to fight. There's no need to judge other people. Doesn't mean that we don't mind other people's business, but they know if they cross the line, they have to pay for the price in the society or their own karma. That's all. That's why in Buddhism we don't judge people in the way that they do, and we know if they create that kind of karma, they have to pay sooner or later. Of course, that's why we have this type of class, this type of discussion, so that we can remind each other to follow the Buddha way of life. So it's like it's so flexible, like the Muslim uses this really appropriate, because if let's put this way, if some of them they cross the red line, and no one they even know that, and they have to pay for the price, and no one would dare to follow them, and they have to pay for that kind of price, and they have to take care of themselves. That's all. It is so flexible. It is so harmonious. You can say that we don't need to judge anyone, because everyone has different way of life. Everyone has different approaches, and if they cross line, especially with the local law authorities, they have to pay that. We don't need to judge them. Is that simple? What do you think? That much easier, right? And pinpoint, oh, hey, you should do this, we should do that, right? We can remind each other, that's all.
It does more harm to you too, to be judging people and pointing out and telling them how they should be. It's causing more stress on them.
We don't need to condemn them. They have to pay for that, pray for themselves, good or bad, in a sense. So and that's why we don't go out to knock for the door to convert people. We don't need to do that. Whoever comes, it comes in a natural way. Yeah, and Stephen, you follow on Stephen?
Yes, Mofok, I do say. Thank you.
What do you think about this kind of approaches? Is so flexible, or like an unrise? You say that we need to have some kind of structure, right, to follow, right? Yes, we have that kind of structure, the underlying structure there, right, Nan? Okay, yeah. All right, yeah, please. You can read the next one, please. Bodhicitta.
Bodhicitta. The first step on the path of Bodhisattva is the development of bodhicitta, or awakening mind. What the development of the bodhicitta marks is a fundamental shift in focus from self-concern to concern for the suffering of others, which manifests itself as compassion, Shanti Deva, in a passage from Bodhicharma Vaipara, a guide to the Bodhisattva's path to awakening, highlights the enormity of this transformation in his sentence. I may be medicine for the sick and weary. May I be their doctor and their nurse until the disease appears no more. May I quell the pains of hunger and thirst with the rains of food and drink. May I be a torch for those in the need of light, a bed for those in the need of a bed, and a servant for those in the need of service for all.
What do you think? Yeah.
So, bodhicitta is, yeah, the awakened mind, and I know in the Tibetan traditions, like before they, I think Dharma study, they do a prayer to awaken or bring forth their bodhicitta, they cultivate their awakened mind. And so Shanti Deva is a really so the Tibetans study that Shanti Deva, I guess, is a bodhisattva or a monk. If you think it's a bodhisattva, or do you just?
I think most people say he was a bodhisattva, but I mean, he is originally a monk, of course. But yeah,
He's Indian monk in the 8th century.
yeah,
Indian monk.
he was like in like the northeast India and then went to Tibet, I think.
No. He didn't go to Tibet. He just wrote this kind of Bodhicitta. That a guide to Bodhisattva path of awakening, and they translate into Tibetan. That's why him.
Yeah, right. Maybe he was just a.
He's popular in Tibet.
He's popular.
Yeah. But that's his books, and well, the Way of the Bodhisattva is super famous and translated a lot in English. And so a lot of times they study.
What do you think? So lofty, so idealist, is not realistic.
Well, there's a number of nuns I listen to. They call it like, I don't know, the Bodhisattva's breakfast or something like that. But there's these nuns in Washington, and they discuss a lot of his texts, and so I enjoy listening to them teach it. Even though I don't really practice that, I.
So what happened? What do you think about those kind of vows? Maybe a doctor, maybe nurse, may provide medicine, may provide a food, drink, and so forth. What do you think?
I mean, to a certain degree, that's very much like, what is it, the Paraniya Sutta also, for, may I be a light for those in danger, whatever, the ship to oceans cross or whatever. So very much in Buddhism, all throughout Buddhism, it encourages you to help others. Because if you want to get really lofty and you understand non-duality and the non-self, and you can maintain that level of presence, you understand that all the things that happen there are still the things that happen to you, and there's not really this you to hold on to other than to create merit and
as actor, right? Sometimes you act like a good guy, another one that you act like a bad guy.
Yeah.
Right? For the good guy, people love you, right? So they praise you as a hero and so forth, right? But for the bad guy, they would not like. But even you can act out. So what's the difference? Sam, what do you think? One is in our daily life for us, for human, for common people. Most of the time we have all kind of attachment, all kind of fighting for survival, right? For getting a job or food and so forth. But on the other hand, here in this partial Bodhisattva, Santideva and Bodhisattva that encourage to make their vows to help others. So which one is?
I mean, they're all ultimately methods to surpass your fear thinking anyways. That's a whole lot of the Buddhist path, if you look at it like from a neurological standpoint, operating from your fear center, which you know, like brainstem thinking versus meditation, and then understanding these bigger concepts takes very much training to your frontal lobe. So.
Yeah, and Stephen, what do you think? Let's say for our common people, right? We want to be higher than anyone else, right? We want to have higher position, want to get more salary for others. But if you want to practice Bodhisattva precept or Bodhisattva path, you need to yield to others. You need to let all people be before you. So what do you think? Is that practical? Is that, what do you think?
To become enlightened, then the answer is going to be yes.
Not talking about big enlightenment. I'm talking about in daily life, right?
In daily life,
daily life.
The answer is probably going to be not practical.
Not practical.
Because so far everyone is always wanting to survive and always wanting to be better than someone else.
Yeah.
There's always a competition. So in a sense, it's really not practical.
Yeah.
So
About Nan, what do you think, Nan? What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I mean, communism is an example that they have tried that. And that's a great theory sometimes, but in practice, I don't think it has been very successful to get everybody equal, everybody exactly the same, and you give everything. I think that has been demonstrated the last probably 40, I mean, probably 60 some years. And we see how all other society that are living, if they actually truly, I don't think any society actually able to practice real communism or that concept of everything is equal and give everything. I don't think that's the theory is very good, but then I don't think it's possible. And I see that happening in my lifetime with other countries that have practicing that kind of concept. But now we talk about spiritually. Yes, that's the reason why we are human and we have all those tendencies. If we can get away with that, but sometimes when we so attached to it, that's why it causes all the pain and suffering for all of us in our daily lives. And that's our nature. And if we could get rid of that, that help us as well as our own country and our neighbors and so on and so forth. So that's a very very good question. I don't know how to answer that, but that's just my experience.
Now here, yeah, communism is different from Buddhism in the sense that you know, they want to have the power, want to control people. Even they say, okay, everyone can have equal share. They don't need to do anything, but they can have equal share. But anything, we don't talk about politics, but I'm talking about here in Buddhist view. In order to accumulate the merit, we need to help others. We need to sacrifice ourselves for others, like the mothers. That's why they love you, because you sacrifice your life for your own children. If you put yourself ahead of them, they will not love that. But you put them before your life. In Buddhist view, the mother is a Bodhisattva of the children because they put their life behind, or they put the life of their children ahead of them. So there is this kind of Bodhisattva path. So the more we help others, the more we give out, the more we give to others, the more blessing we may have.
This makes me think of difficult experience I had years ago that caused me to have to think about a lot about this actually. 3 or 4 years ago, before I had a temple, before I had monks to learn from, I already believed in a lot of stuff about Buddhism, but I didn't understand or know as much. And I wanted to be compassionate to everyone And I always tried to live being compassionate to everyone, and there was this person who took advantage of that because I would give her money and I would give her rides and I would do favors for her until it was really hurting me and really wearing me out. Like she got more and more unreasonable. Like she would wake me up at like 3 in the morning when I was supposed to, work the next day. And it turned out, she had told me that she was disabled. She had told me that she had an illness. But the truth was that she was addicted to heroin. And what I learned from that is, sometimes when your intention is to help people, you can actually hurt them because you are giving them what they want, but not what they need. Like by giving her money and this and that, I was helping her stay addicted because she would spend the money on drugs instead of medicine or food. And also, where she was taking advantage of me more and more, and she eventually just started stealing from me. I realized, two Buddhist lessons. That's the reason why compassion isn't the whole path; it's part of the path. Like the Buddha teaches, you can't just have compassion; it's the union of compassion and wisdom.
That's the point.
And so
Yeah.
I had to kind of figure that out. And I also had to think about it in terms of middle path, because I felt like me sacrificing so much of my time and resources and energy was kind of like what the Buddha warned against when he was like, one extreme path is being too selfish and indulging yourself too much, but he also warned against like starving yourself or practices where you just don't take care of yourself. And I think that was the extreme that I was on. So I had to develop, it's not just wisdom, or it's not just compassion. You have to have compassion and wisdom.
Like you mentioned to your daughter, you want me, not you need me.
Yeah.
The more you give to her, the more she like you to have something from you. And she may be spoiled it, but if you guide her in the wise way, or in the compassionate way, plus the wise way, she understand that she need to take care of herself. Right? So that's why in Buddhism it's so important to have the compassion go hand in hand with wisdom. Yeah. You want to add something?
I guess it kind of feels like when I was learning a lot of acting stuff, there is a strong kind of tenet that we learned that you do your best acting when you aren't thinking about what you're doing, but you're just trying to give to the other person. So you create a better scene when you're not thinking about yourself. You're thinking about the other person involved, and you're trying to give as much as you can to that person so that they have something to play with, something to act with. So it kind of feels similar in the sense that you are that truth body. You're more in line with the truth body when you are giving to try to giving a gift to somebody who would be all passion so that they can in turn give you.
That's in the Diamond Sutra. There's a section where Buddha explains, he's like, when you give to somebody else with the expectation of something happening or you want something out of it, you can still get some merit out of it, but it limits the amount of merit or karma you can get. Whereas if you give to someone else without expectations and without wanting anything in return, the limit to your merit is like endless, like space.
Yeah, and Steven, yeah, like you say, right? Probably sometimes you may think this is unreligious to put yourself out there to serve people, right? But actually, it will be helpful for us. Some people they work hard, and of course the boss may take advantage of them, but
during the critical time of downside, and most time the boss will keep that person. That because they contribute so much for the community. That's one of the example. So when you care for others, right? When you care for others, they understand. They know. They probably like to say that that kind of lady, she take advantage on you, but of course you have to use the wisdom to guide her instead of providing her the money so that she can be she could be indulged in that type of drug. But I'm talking in daily life when we help others, no matter who we are, whether at a company, at home, or wherever. Whenever we step out to help, that means we create a kind of positive bonding, positive affinity with them, so that we can help them in the future. They love, I mean, that the children, they love you. So when they grown up, they, whichever thing happened to them, they come back to you because they know that you have that kind of unconditional love to them. So that's why this type of I can say lofty vows may be impractical for us, but sometimes we can apply, depend upon our abilities. Okay, so we can talk more about that next week, right? It's so important when we talk about the Bodhicitta awakening mind too. Okay, good. All right, thank you, Anand. Thank you, and Stephen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.